It's nothing. It's hormones. You're a teenager. You're just angry. It is just a phase. These are countless phrases that those who suffer from depression and suicidal tendencies hear every single day. They're pounded in our heads. Why is depression called a phase? What is a phase? A phase is any of the major appearances or aspects in which a thing of varying modes or conditions manifests itself to the eye or mind. That doesn't sound like depression to me. That doesn't sound like an emotion to me. So what is depression? A psychoneurotic or psychotic disorder marked especially by sadness, inactivity, difficulty in thinking and concentration, a significant increase or decrease in appetite, words. That's not depression to me either. And today I'm going to show you that depression is a test. When I was younger, I struggled with family and friends and was bullied to the point where I had to leave and go to a new school. I was weak, I was sad, and the stress of school and friends just didn't help. I became sad. And by 8th grade, I had taken to cutting. What I didn't know at the time was that addiction ran in my family. Another thing I didn't know at the time, something that isn't a substance can be an addiction. And I depended on cutting. My parents were locked in a custody battle. My friends were girls. And everything was out of my control. So I took my life into my control. I chose how much blood I spilled. I chose what I wanted to do that night. I control my life. And that power and control over myself became addicting. One day at school, my wrists were caught not in their prime, and I was taken into the custody of my school counselors. My parents then arrived with the Vista sheriffs, and I was transported in their custody to a hospital. It was determined that I needed to be psychoanalyzed, and I was taken to a treatment facility. I walked into a large empty room and waited until I could be taken to another small empty room to be tested. And it was determined that I had to stay there for a while. So then I was taken into an elevator up to the youth ward. I was taken into a separate room and stripped. And essentially they took inventory of my body, wounds, scars, anything, they marked it. And I remember walking into the ward after being dressed in hospital-appropriate clothing, meaning they took all of these away from me, and walking up to a double-locked door with a window maybe the size of my head. And I watched my parents leave me there with my tail between my legs through that window, maybe the size of my head. But it wasn't until the nighttime when I fully realized that I didn't belong there. In the night, when your thoughts are the only noise you can hear, I realized I didn't want to be there, and I wanted out. So rationally, I took a pencil and tried to stab my way out of a window. I then realized this window was 3 to 5 inches thick and had another one right behind it. There was no way out. So rather than disregarding everything that my doctors and therapists and everyone in my life said, I took it seriously. I took what my parents, my siblings, my therapists, my doctors, everyone in my life, all of their sayings, much seriously. And I got out. But my depression didn't end there. I had become sad once again, and I made the selfish decision that I no longer wanted to live. The gun was not loaded. And that is why I'm here to tell you it's a test. So why tell you all this? Why lay this all out for you? I could tell you it gets better. Throw that phrase that anti-suicide campaigns love to throw at us. But it doesn't. And that's not what I want you to take from this. 80% of people who seek clinical aid for depression significantly improve and change their lives. So why, with a statistic so high, do none of us do anything? It's that fall that we're afraid of. That last 5 minutes of the test, when you have 15 more questions and the clock is ticking and you don't know the answers, it's that part where you're stuck on that question and you're just going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. We are afraid of failing. But Nelson Mandela said, "The greatest glory in living lies not in never failing, but in rising every time we fall." We are the ultimate test takers. We have been studying for these tests our entire lives. It is that moment in the test when you realize that you know all the content. It is that moment in the test when you realize you've been studying for it so hard, and you realize that this terrifying SAT with 15 minutes to go is an exam. It's less, it's a quiz, it's nothing. It can't compare to you. And that is why I do not want to say it gets better, because that's a lie. It doesn't get better. Life gets harder, but we adapt, we change. We get better. We take that test and we get an A. This test is hard. Everything in life and depression is hard. But we are better than all of that. And we don't need this test to identify that. Every single day, I think that depression is not something that identifies who I am, but something that marks what I have achieved. And it is that way for many people. Because at the end of the day, the situations never change. You do.